There were times I was looking at myself in the mirror going, dude, why are you putting on khakis?
Where Gunny Hawley, who was blown up and killed, who had 2 children, I lived in a reality for about, I think, 15 years that it should have been me.
Your source of strength has never been you. It has always been from somewhere else. It's just my belief that mine is from God. And I choose to rely on God. And I'm far from perfect. I screw up all the time. But my life is at peace. I have found a point past the storm where I am at peace.
When things got really bad, which they will, we all are going to have times in our life where we just can't handle some things. To know that reaching out for help is an option. It's the same as going to the doctor when you can't get over the common cold and it's turned into something crazy.
Yep.
Or sinus infection. You got to go to a doctor and get medicine. It's the same with your mental health.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Bunkhouse here on Military Broadcast Radio, where we give veterans a voice. Before we start, bring my guest on today, if you could. Follow the Linktree link below, scrolling across the bottom. Go ahead and follow, share, like, make some comments, give me some feedback, let me know what you think about the show. And then also, if anybody out there is listening or know anybody that's close to them and they're struggling through today's problems or in a dark spot, please let them know that they're not alone, that there's always help out there for them. And they can call the mental health crisis line, dial 988. They can dial 1 for the veteran crisis line. There's also an option for anybody that's hard of hearing as well. And before we get started, here is a quick word from Military Broadcast Radio.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right. Welcome back. And then now I'm going to bring to the stage Bill Lowe. He is the host of Semper Try podcast. Bill, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me, Cole. Such an honor.
No, absolutely, brother. I appreciate you bringing here. So both of us being prior Marines, if you could give us a little bit of background about yourself and everything.
Oh, a little bit of background. Well, I grew up in South Dakota, farm kid, got close to graduating high school. Not sure what you're going to do after high school. And I think it was between my junior and senior year. I was like, I'll join the Air National Guard there in South Dakota. And I was working in the mall and the Marine recruiter came up for lunch or whatever. And he's like, oh, what are you going to do after high school? I'm like, oh, I'll join the Air National Guard. And he's like, the Marines have a reserves too. And I'm like, no, didn't know that. And he goes, well, why don't you swing by it on your break or whatever? So go down there, talk to him. And I'm like, guess he changed my mind. I'm joining the Marine Corps Reserve. So between my junior and senior year, I joined the Marine Corps Reserve and was going to go down to, I think it's Omaha, where's the closest reserve base, and work on, I don't know, Humvees or something heavy duty mechanic or something like that, they called it. And then you go through your whole senior year and what they drill in your head. What are you going to do after high school? What are you going to do after high school? And I was like, well, college wasn't an option. And the only 2 things I really had interest in was like photography and accounting and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be an accountant. I mean, I like math, but no, I was like, I don't know if I could make a career out of photography, and you have to go to school for that. And I didn't really want to go to school, and I knew I didn't want to farm. So I had a younger brother and I figured he'd want to do that. And I did not want to do that. So I think it was early May, I called up my recruiter and I go, I changed my mind. And he goes, well, this happens. He goes, we lose some before they join. Totally understand. Goes, if you change your mind, let me know, but totally understand. I go, no, I changed my mind, but I want to go active duty. And he's like, all right, you need to come in and retake the ASVAB. I go, retake the ASVAB? He goes, well, you said when you took it in your junior year, you didn't try too hard. He goes, come back in, retake it. So I go back in. This is like early May, retake the ASVAB. He goes, that's a good enough score. What do you want to do? I go, I don't know, mechanics. I like working on stuff. And he goes, how about you work on F-18, And I was like, that sounds awesome. He goes, yeah, just imagine you could be working on a F-18 someday, all this other stuff. And I'm like, nope, that'd be awesome. He goes, well, I can't promise you that, but I can get you aviation maintenance. You'll get one of the aircraft that the Marine Corps flies, and he listed them all off, between all the helicopters and planes and stuff and jets. And I'm like, okay. Yep. Sounds good. And he goes, well, I can have you leave here like 7 days. I graduated high school. I think it was around May 11th. And I went to boot camp. Like I said, I don't remember the exact days. People remember all that. May 17th, May 18th, headed to boot camp around then. So it was like 7 days after high school. And this was only like 13, 14 days after I signed the contract, and I was gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the start of it. And then, just only did the 5 years and been out for a long time now already. So that's a little history there.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah. So, I kind of have a little story too, and I talked about it on my show, that my monthly releases that I've done, and some other shows I've been on. But kind of when I came in, I was coming in originally as artillery, like my contract was, and then literally the day I left to go to recruit training, the liaison at MEP said, "No, we can't do that because you didn't do geometry," and like pretty much got recruited, and kind of the same thing. You like they reeled you in with the F-18 piece, and then was like, "Well, I can't promise that." After you were like, "Yeah, let's do that."
Right. I will say, I've heard a lot of stories of recruiters lying to them.
Yeah.
And if I could ever find, and I'm hoping through all this, I believe, I can't remember. I'll have to go back and see if I can find pictures and see his name tag. I think he was Sergeant Smith was his name. He was a scout sniper at the time. I will say he did not lie to me 1 ounce. He was 100% honest the whole time. He was 100% honest with my parents through everything that happened. So that is one story I do not have, is a recruiter taking advantage of me or whatever.
No, and that's good, man. Because there's so many out there that this happens to, where their recruiter really just fools them with a whole bunch of lines and just gets them to sign and lets them be.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and we all just become a number in the big picture of it, but
yeah, and I think that's where a lot of us, and not even just Marines, but all services, when we get out, we really start to realize, whether we did 4 or 5 years or did 20 to 30 years, we start to realize that's all we were after we're out, and get that DD-214 in our hands, that we were just a number, and that brotherhood or sisterhood isn't there like we thought it was going to be when it's time to hang up the uniform. And I think that's where a lot of us really, that it hit me very hard. I don't know, a lot of it happens.
And getting out that many years ago, I got out in 02. That was kind of before everybody had a cell phone. That was way before social media. Email, I guess, was kind of a thing, with AOL and stuff like that. And Yahoo might have been just coming around. But like, keep staying in contact with people you're in was really hard, and trying to find them. And I have a horrible memory. I mean, I listen to different people talk on podcasts and tell stories, and they remember names of recruits and drill instructors that they went to boot camp with or they served with, and I'm like, I can remember faces, but names, holy crud! I can remember a couple names. That's about it.
Yeah, and being Marines, we definitely live up, or at least try to live up to our motto of Semper Fidelis, always faithful, right? And you being the host of the Semper Try podcast, can you kind of give us some background, like where that name came from for you?
So, you start messing around and you start thinking of names. And when I thought, okay, I want to start a podcast, what's the name going to be? I started talking with the wife, and I really liked, it took me over 20 years to really, be more proud of being a veteran, and being the Marine thing. I just kind of, before that, just kind of kept it on the down low, the typical veteran thing, not every veteran's the same, but not wanting to be thanked for my service. There's so many people that did more stuff. But then when I was looking to start this podcast, I didn't really research it enough. You heard the big names out there, the big Navy SEALs and stuff. They're always telling their stories, and that's who they're interviewing, is other Navy SEALs and all these, heroic stories. And I'm like, well, there's, you go to the VFW or you go to the Legion. I'm a member of our local Legion. You go there's so many veterans. There's so many just small stories. I'm like, I want to hear those small stories. And I know I kind of jumped away from your question here, so I'll turn around and go back to it. But like Semper Try, so I was like trying to find a tie of taking pride in the Marine Corps, And obviously we should, we're the 0.01% or whatever, or 0.1%, whatever that number is. And so I was like messing around. I think I was using AI to mess around with names. And so I came up with Semper Try, and it's always try. And kind of that's how I got through boot camp. That's how you get through a lot of things, is always trying. And, I kind of came up with that tagline, because trying beats quitting, and I think that works in everyday life. That works in your jobs. That's how I made it through boot camp. I mean, there's a story for you. I mean, how many people do you know that were in boot camp for 7 months? So that's a whole nother story. And so that was just kind of the thing, is, always try, because trying beats quitting. And I really, I mean, every one of us veterans will talk mental health. And my wife is kind of the one that kind of pushed me towards this of, really, is it mental health or is it brain health? It's another, I mean, if you have a problem with your heart, you go to the doctor, you go to a heart doctor. If you've been through something, you have a bad experience, whatever it is, there's something, just misconnected in your brain and you need help, so the stigma needs to go away. It's brain health. Let's get it fixed, so long story. That's why, the name of the podcast.
No, that's awesome. And I think you brought up a good point too. You were starting to kind of get into what you were really wanting to do is kind of get to what I would consider that grassroots veteran, the ones that aren't in like the special operations space or don't have these high profile stories and stuff like that. Just the everyday veteran that most of us served with, or most of us are in the veteran community. And like you said, like everybody's story deserves to be heard. I definitely know that, like you say quite a bit, is like you said, most stories die unheard. And I think that's kind of what kind of brought that along. Can you kind of give a little more on that and like what you mean? Like when most stories die unheard, what does that mean to you?
Well, you got to think about now, what it means to me is, I wish I could go back to when I was younger, and this would be when I was a kid. I remember one of my dad's uncles, and you're in high school, a year before high school, you don't know what D-Day is. You didn't know really what a veteran was. You didn't take pride in what the military did for us. And I remember my dad's uncle as a kid. I remember it was always in the summer. I remember, and obviously it's June 6th, but every D-Day, he'd watch everything on it all day long. Everything he could see on TV, everything he could see in the newspaper, every clip, every picture, he would just watch and watch and watch. And it took me a little while. And I remember his wife or whatever telling me, or maybe it was my grandma telling me, that he was looking for himself. He was looking for anybody he knew. He was
Oh, wow.
looking to see if there was footage of him getting off one of those boats, or one of his friends, or somebody he knew, and that he would sit there and watch that. And I'm like, holy crap, my dad had an uncle that, was there on D-Day and survived it. And how that's a story that's unheard, that's a story
Yeah.
that died. And so that's kind of the thing. And, we're, World War II vets, all those stories are going away. And yet there's a lot of podcasts, there's a lot of organizations that are getting those stories now. And I'm so grateful for those. But there's just so many of them. I'm here in central Minnesota, and there's so many veterans around here, and the Korean and the Vietnam. And I know not everybody wants to talk about their stories, but if you can get some of those stories out of some people, they're amazing stories to hear. And I mean, I love sitting there hearing them. I'll be at the Legion, and someone will tell me a story, and it'll be like 10, 15 minutes long. And it was like, they're like, oh, I parachuted into Panama, and I did this in the 80s, and I did that. And it's like 15, 20-minute story. And it's like, wow, that's amazing. That was a great story. And it's like, would you come on the podcast and tell me that? And then all of a sudden they're like, nope, I don't have any stories. I didn't do anything. I'm like, if I would have just recorded the last 15 minutes, that would have been the best episode ever, So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I mean by that, and I know you're kind of doing the same thing. And we got a couple other friends that are doing the same thing. Like I said, I didn't research the podcast thing. I didn't think there was this many people doing it, but I'm glad there's this many people doing it, because the support has been amazing and the new networking has been awesome. So
Yeah. No, it's yeah, I think you're right. Like there are so many stories out there that aren't talked about enough. So like my uncle, for instance, my dad's brother, I knew he was in the army in Vietnam, did multiple tours in Vietnam. I knew he was a Green Beret in Vietnam, but I didn't know really what Green Berets did back then. And he recently passed away this past year. And come to find out, he was actually part of the that special operations training group that that was kind of a joint like a joint group with CIA, Delta, Green Berets, Force Reconnaissance Marines, like essentially what most people know now today is Delta is essentially what it was before Delta was a thing. And like hearing stuff like that and knowing what he did and looking more into what that group's mission was in Vietnam, like he never once talked about it. Like a lot of folks, like the Vietnam War era, like veterans, just like our like the GWAT era Marines, like we don't, or just veterans in general, don't talk about a lot of those things. And not once would I ever even known he was a part of anything that like that's history, and it like that is history being made before you even know it, right? Like honestly, like all the stuff that he went through, and um, but yeah, he Bronze Star with a Combat V, multiple Bronze Stars awardances, and so like yeah, again, it's those are the stories that, like you said, those are the ones that if they're not talked about, they die with the people who lived them, right?
Right. Those are stories that should be in the history books that might not make it because nobody got the chance to hear them. So if we can get the chance to just talk to some of these people, and like you said, it's all the way modern. I have friends that are younger than me that have stories of combat and all this other stuff, and it's just like, wow. So there's continuing on to this day, there's still stories. So
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of like you said, like it's a little bit what I do with my show, like my flagship sessions that I do on my monthly releases. It's not necessarily it's the veterans' complete story from where they're from, why they joined the military, that what made them decide to join, what made them decide the branch that they decided to join and serve in, and then they talk about their experiences while they're in, and then we get into what was transitioning out of the military, like life back, back into the civilian life, because everybody has a little bit different. But I will say this: that there's a lot of commonalities in everybody's story, regardless of era of veteran or service, the branch of service that they served in. A lot of us have a lot of the same, I would say, type of story in a
right.
sense. It's just the experiences that led to it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because like I try to do the same thing. I know like I talk to you and I talk to other people that do podcasting and they'll have like I'm not saying you in general, but I'm just saying other ones. They'll have questionnaires like, hey, this, or this is what I'm thinking. And they'll like map out kind of what they're hoping the podcast will bring on. And I'm just pretty
Yeah.
much like, will you do the podcast? And I just hope the conversation flows naturally. And if it doesn't, sometimes is a little awkward. Sometimes it is what it is. I've had a couple where there's a couple minutes of silence where like, they're thinking or thinking, I'm like, we can edit out, if you said something wrong or said something else. I know like we're doing this live and a lot of people, I mean, if somebody wants something edited out, I'm not going to make us look like idiots where we're sitting there silence for couple minutes, but if something cool happens or if it's just natural conversation, and just trying to, the people around here I talk to, they'll say like, they weren't in the military. They have the respect for the military. They never were in. So like, what's the daily life? What was the daily life for you? What was the daily life? Like you don't think of what it is. I mean, there's so many support jobs, so many other military jobs. There's so many jobs that's just training, getting ready for what the military is supposed to do. And, I guess you don't ever really think about, I mean, that was my daily job every day was launching and recovering and fixing aircraft while we were preparing. The pilots were preparing 100% of the time, but it was just felt like another job when you look back at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, being from the communications career field, like in the Marine Corps, it's kind of the same thing. Like you get into a routine, you feel like it's just your job and it's nothing special. But I've started to kind of look back and finally started to look back really and seeing like as a communicator, what our mission really was to provide tactical communications, whether it be radio, computer type communications or telephones or whatever, and provide that to support the warfighter, right? And like that's what you do. You support logistics, you support aviation missions, you support the warfighter on the ground. Like that's a big deal. If you can't communicate, you can't move, you can't do anything. Same thing. If there's nobody to fix the aircraft, they can't fly the aircraft later, right? So again, like and those are stories that they may not be sexy or flashy, right? But they're still stories that make the cog turn in what we call the military, and those stories are just as important as the operators that are out front kicking down doors, every single day. They're just as important, in my opinion.
Well,
and they need to be
sure
heard.
They want their communications to be able to call and support if they need it. They want the the intel from above. They want all that stuff. They want those planes flying too. Yeah, they're right there in the heart of it, and thank you for that. But yeah, it's everything needs its support. So
no, absolutely. And one thing I've learned, especially when it comes to not just telling my own story, but talking to other veterans about their story, of how much of an impact it has on, I'll steal your term for a minute, but the brain health, like talking to veterans about these types of things, it helps me a lot with my struggles and some of the stuff that I've dealt with. And it seems to help a lot of the veterans. I'm going to assume it's the same. I would assume for you, it's kind of the same. It kind of helps you with your brain health as well.
Yeah, I think it gives you that sense of belonging again, like this, and just, I mean, everyday life, brain health, you need that, we're creatures that need to interact with other creatures, so it's, no matter what or how scenario it is, and I like the giving back aspect of it. So I hope that this is, being able to give back and help the community in some way or another too, and help with other projects and fundraisers, and obviously volunteering at the Legion for that giving back. But there's definitely, and I think we've talked about this before, there's definitely a sense of pride and enjoyment in this, because once again, let's take on a hobby. Basically, I guess this wouldn't be a job. It'd have to be a hobby, right? Hobbies don't pay. Is that the right terminology?
Yeah, I'd go with hobby. Yeah.
I mean, we would love to be able to support ourselves. I don't want to be a millionaire, but I want to be, it would be nice if this would like help pay for a little bit of the equipment once in a while. But you spend money on hobbies. So, but I enjoy it. I really, really, really enjoy it.
Yeah, same here. Like it again, like I don't do it to make money, right? I do it to give back to the community. This is my way of giving back to the veteran space as well, and it's providing a space for veterans like yourself and other guests that I've had to share their story, to get their name out there, to kind of show or share their services or the things that they're doing also, and I think this kind of brings us into a good point for a quick break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the stuff that you do volunteering, some of the stuff that you do around the Legion as well, and kind of those pieces of your area of getting back to the veteran community as well. So again, everybody out there listening, we'll be back here shortly.
Wonder what was going on inside the man in black's mind. Was he missing June? Was he thinking back when that picture was snapped? Was he wishing he could hold her? Did he know his life was over? The day that camera flashed the last picture of Johnny Cash. Lines alive there on his face, show hard living and show grace. A story told in shades of black. Was he whispering a prayer through that cold and lonesome glare? The day the camera flashed the last picture of Johnny Cash. Could he hear that angel Cash. Wonder what was going on inside the man in black's mind. Day old Marty Flash, last picture of Johnny Cash.
All right, welcome back to the Bunkhouse, everybody. Live here on Military Broadcast Radio, where we give veterans a voice. Before the break, my guest and I, Bill, was talking about kind of the origin story of his podcast, Semper Try, and now I really want to get in. And Bill, if you could share some other things that
Could
you're doing,
one
volunteer.
thing before we start? Sorry, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think you promote this enough. That was Dallas Alexandria. He is a Canadian veteran. He was 17 years special forces for them. He was a tier 1 sniper. And now he's down in Nashville producing songs. I love that when your songs play that they're veteran related. And I've interviewed one Canadian military veteran before. And I mean, you know, the north of the border veterans are still veterans, but that's awesome. That song was amazing. Tier 1 sniper. He was part of the team that was part of what was the world's longest shot. They recorded it. So he was part of that. So interesting guy. Sorry.
Oh, that's no. Thank you for that, because I'm actually we have kind of a group of different music videos that we could do for our breaks and stuff, and so I'm glad you bring it up, because I'm actually going to start doing that now every show and doing a little research. And when I play one, I'm going to come back and explain some stuff like that. I think that's a great idea.
There's some
That was
great
good.
guys.
No, thank you.
Nice work, John.
Thank you.
All right. Sorry, your question again. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no. Hey, you're good, man. No, just what I want to do is give you the opportunity to talk some about the things that you do volunteering wise, stuff that you do with the Legion, and maybe some other organizations that you work with.
Well, if we're talking volunteering, I would say my volunteering, like actually giving back, started when I moved up to Minnesota. I moved up to Minnesota 20 years ago now. So I moved up here in 06, a couple of years after the military. I moved up here and I started with the local JCs, so the Brainerd JCs. And you might have heard of them because they do host the world's largest ice fishing extravaganza. So it's the largest ice fishing contest that happens in one day. And they do it every July. Yeah, they do it in July. Yep, idiot. No, they do it in January, February timeframe when there's actually ice, So they have to have like 17 inches of ice to actually hold this contest, because they have anywhere from 8 to 14,000 people on the ice. They drill about 20,000 holes on Friday. And so it's a small village develops on this lake or whatever. And they give away a truck. They have for $150,000 in prizes. They donate anywhere from $100,000 to $500,000 every year back to the local community. So I started with the JCs. They did other things. And so that's where I started my volunteering. And then at some point in time, like I said, we'll start recognizing being a veteran or whatever. So then I started helping with the American Legion and then volunteering, helping a little bit there. Then actually there was our local Legion has gambling, and they were looking for a new gambling manager because the one that they had, there's a long story there. The one that they had before the one that I replaced was like trying to lose their license. There was fraud involved. The Legion was probably going to go under. And so another guy took it over. Well, then he got diagnosed with cancer and he was on his last, or whatever. So they were trying to find someone quickly, and they asked me if I'd do it. And I was like, they're like, oh yeah, there's a little bit of, stipend or whatever to help out, because there's a lot of stuff. So I had to go to the classes, learn how to do that. And gambling, the charitable gambling is actually how we donate most of our money to the community. This is how we keep the doors open. But it just opened up so many more doors for working with organizations like local youth sports and other nonprofits, and being able to help volunteer with them. And then like my wife she's the president, I got to say this right, president chair of a local mental health, suicide awareness, brain health, whatever. I think it's suicide awareness is their actual. So it's a local one here called Smiles for Jake. She's the president of that. So I get told a lot to help with that one, which I don't mind. And then she'll help with a lot of different events we have at the Legion. So those are the biggest ones. The last one, the most recent, is one of my friends. She started a memorial to help veterans, and it's her father worked at the local camp here, Camp Ripley, and he helped veterans. He'd help anybody that needed help. So she thought, in his honor, let's start one that helps veterans. And she's about 3 years into it, and I've kind of wanted to team up with her and help her as much as I can, because there's only like 2, and I should add in 3 requirements for getting help. And one is be a veteran. So if you're a veteran, 2, be a veteran that needs help. And so really the third requirement is be a veteran that needs help in our lakes area. We don't have the funds. We hope to expand, go to state of Minnesota, go tri-state, go keep growing, go regional. But right now we're keeping it local because that's what we can help. And it's the veterans she's been able to help. It'll be like someone in their last minute with, car, fix a car or something so they can get to work or make a house payment or help. And there's so many situations. There's no criteria. She sits down with them, she talks with them. It's like it can be immediate, like if it's something we need that day or next day, it's, there's not all these processes and red tapes with all these other veteran programs. A lot of great programs, but you make too much money. We need 6 weeks. There's so many hoops to jump through, I guess you'd say. So we're trying to, in the lakes area, to avoid that and try to help that, those emergency situations. So I guess that's the biggest things. Like this next week, I will be going out to help the JCs. I've aged out. I'm too old to be a JC member, but they have kind of alumni. So they pour beer at Brainerd International Raceway, which the NHRA is coming to town. So it's like what funds their operations for the whole year, the beer sales. They make enough off of it in beer sales. So it's all volunteer based. All the tips stay with the organization and just go out to do it to enjoy the environment. I have friends that come up, but it's just a volunteer, and me and my wife volunteer every year to help them out. And they're always looking for more people to volunteer, but that's gives them the money to run their operation, donate to other local nonprofits or charities or youths or whatever, just help where they see fit and stuff like that. And then the following week is CRMC, what is it called? CMC Championship. So it's the local America's Tour for golf is coming to town. And my wife is the director of the CRMC Foundation. So there's another, charity nonprofit or whatever that I help with. So it's a big fundraiser for them, and they're able to help cancer patients, help diabetes patients, help a lot of people in need. And I'll probably say the wrong thing. My wife is so way smarter than I am when it comes to all this stuff and the wording. But so I'll help out there all week, the week after that, and I think last year they raised about $100,000 at that event, and stuff like that. So I know they're big goals this year, so those are some of the highlights, I guess you could say.
I think that's great. I think we've talked about this before, just kind of offline and in other conversations, is getting involved in just anything to give back to a cause helps fulfill or to fill the void of our purpose or what we feel is a purpose or the certitude that drove us to join the military in the first place. Because most veterans that I know or most service members that I know, they do the service because they love to serve. They love to provide a service for something or somebody. And I will say that's one thing that I struggled with when I first got out is finding that purpose. And I think you brought up a really important thing is being proud to be a veteran again, right? Because a lot of us, when we get out, we don't talk about being a veteran. We don't wear any kind of what I would call military paraphernalia, right? We don't wear the t-shirts. We don't wear the retired Marine hat. And, I didn't do that. And I still don't wear stuff like that, but, I've learned to be more proud, and not in like a standoffish way of being proud, right? Not like the one who said, well, I used to be a sergeant major. You got to respect me because I'm a retired sergeant major. Not like that type of,
Right.
like, because there's a big difference. There are veterans out there that are like that,
Yes.
right? Absolutely. There's so many out there that are like that, but being proud of being a veteran in the service that you gave to your country is not a bad thing. Be very proud of the service, no matter how small you think your piece was. Trust me, I promise you, it was the piece that needed to make it continue while you were there, right? And be proud of that. It took me a while to literally learn to understand that and be proud of being a retired Marine. Again, like, it was hard for me to say that or promote that about myself because I didn't get to go to 20. I had to retire early. It wasn't a medical retirement, but it still was not a 20-year retirement like what you would think of from a retired service member. But I'm finally at a point in my life, like mentally and emotionally and spiritually, like I'm okay with that. Like I'm finally at a point where I'm okay with being that. It's not who I am anymore. It's made me it's part of who I am, but that's not the end story. That's not who I am. That's not who I'm going to be or who I'm supposed to be. That's just part of what's made me who I am. Right.
Right. I mean, yeah, 2 years, 20 years, 30 years, every last one of them signed on the same dotted line, put the exact same life on hold, payable up to death, basically, on that contract. So,
yeah, I mean, everybody goes to MEPS. Everybody raises their right hand. They all have the same oath of enlistment. We all pledge our allegiance essentially to
Right.
the same thing, regardless of branch of service, regardless of time, regardless of active reserve or National Guard. We all pledge that same allegiance to our Constitution and to our nation, and that's something to be proud of.
Right.
We are a very small population of the United States that actually do it. Right.
Well, when you get immersed into this with other veterans, you're like, oh, veteran. But then when you step back
Yeah.
and you look at the big picture, you're like, it's at 1%, 1% of the United States population is served in the military. It's like, that's an exclusive group of people right there. We've got to support each other and take care of each other. So, and then
you're
let
absolutely
alone
right.
how much smaller that percentage is for Marines. I mean, everybody wants to be a Marine, but only a few of us could do it, I guess, right? Sorry.
I mean,
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
No, I mean, we are the
respect all
smallest
branches.
branch. Well,
Right.
yeah, I respect all branches the same too, but you're right. We are the smallest branch. We have what I would consider the what's the word I'm trying to look for? And this is where my brain starts kind of getting around to me. Sometimes I have a lot of brain farts when I'm trying to think of certain words.
Prestige.
But I wouldn't say
No?
prestige. Like, I mean, we do definitely have a prestige about us, but I think as a service as a whole, we probably have the highest prestige as far as the service as a whole. There are entities within the other branches of service that have a prestige within
Yes.
their service, right? But we are the only ones. We are the branch that we serve. We are all riflemen first, regardless of MOS, right? And so, like, that in itself is a subculture of a subculture, right? Like, being a veteran or being a service member is a subculture of the United States civilization, right? Right. Like, what our civilization is built on is a subculture, but then each branch has its own subculture, and honestly, the Marines are its own very own subculture. Um, we come off as being standoffish and sometimes, and
Yeah.
but again, that's how we were bred, and I'm not saying it's wrong, right, or indifferent, but that's just kind of how it becomes. And the reason I bring that up is because that standoffishness is what, at least for me, caused me not to want to promote myself as a veteran or a retired Marine or a Marine veteran in general. And I kind of shunned away from interacting with other veterans for a long time, honestly. I didn't try to connect, or like I ended up having, like, I've said it here on the show before. It's like my kids, like both my daughters, do all-star cheerleading and retiring close to a Marine Corps installation, you're going to have other parents that are either spouses or they are veterans themselves or still even active duty, most of the time Marines, because I am around a Marine installation. And so like my wife and one of the other wives, the cheer moms, they kind of forced me and her husband to get together and start talking. And he's a Marine veteran also. And we hit it off immediately, and we've been almost pretty much best friends ever since. Right. And that collective has actually grown with other cheer dads as well. And it was just me getting outside of my comfort zone and starting to be kind of, like you said, being proud of who I am and what I was,
So do you have to get up there and do those cheer dances too then? Where the videos of that? That's what we want to see here, John. We want to see the videos of you cheering with your daughters.
We'll see what we can do once they go to our first comp. So our first comp like
some highlight
December
reels.
time.
We've got highlight reels.
We'll see what we can do. No.
There's got to be some of those. So yeah.
One of those things. It's just embracing myself back into like being proud to be a veteran again. And again, like just that in itself has helped me, one, with embracing the network of the veteran community online with podcasting and other podcasters that are veterans as well, and regardless of what you did in the military or what service you served in the military, like embracing each other and having a common goal, of support.
What I think a lot too with, saying being that proud when you're young and you just get out and you're single. I mean, it would be different for you. You got married in, had some kids while you were in, but getting out and just being single and is what it is. And then really this last how many years with having kids and how proud they are, it's just like, if we go to an event, they'll always say, oh, is there any prior military or this or that, and stand up. And I won't always stand up, and my kids will like be elbowing me. So I have to stand up, it's like, I don't need recognition from these people. I don't need recognition from this crowd or whatever it is. And, the kids will have Veteran Day programs or something like that. And you'll go and they'll call it out by service. And that's the one I'm always the most proud of, because they'll call out National Guard, because we're a big National Guard area up here. They'll call it Army, Air Force, Navy. And whenever they call them Marines, first, last, middle, whatever. I mean, it'll be a room of 400 or 500 people. And if one or two people stand up with you, it's like, yep, that's right. And there'll be like 20, 30 National Guard or the Army, there's always a bunch of those. But so, there is definitely a lot of pride goes into it. And I'd say my kids and my wife have helped me with that, like, that's a Father's Day gift right there from the kids. And I was just like, oh my God, that is so awesome, and just a couple more things they've gotten me and stuff like that. So, and then now with the podcast and, the EGA with that and Semper Try. And I don't know, I might only own underwear that don't have that logo on them yet. And that's yet. So it's coming. But I figured, why waste the logos? Because 90% of the time, people don't see my underwear. We won't talk about the other 10% of the time.
I think this is actually another good quick break time, because when we come back, we're actually going to talk about some future initiatives that I am proud and honored to be a partner with. So when we come back, we'll talk about those things. All right.
All right.
We'll be back here in about a few minutes.
On the front lines we stand, side by side, with courage and strength that we won't let slide. Through the chaos, our hearts beat as one. Each brother's a soldier, into battle we run. When the shots ring out, we won't back down. In the silence of loss, we'll wear our crown. We are soldiers, brothers in arms. Through fire and fury, we weather the storms. In unity, forged through the blood that we shed. Together we stand, living for the dead. Each step we take through the mud and the pain, memories linger like the echoes of rain. We fight for the fallen, our spirit won't break. In honor we carry their names in our wake. Though the cost is high, our bonds grow tight. In the darkest of hours will shine our light. We are soldiers, brothers in arms. Through fire and fury we weather the storms. In unity forged through the blood that we've shed. Together we stand, living for the dead. With every heartbeat we carry their name. In the Brotherhood force we'll never be the same.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So before the break, Bill and I talked a little bit about some of the stuff that he volunteers. Even when it's not veteran related, it's still important to get out there and give back to the community as a whole. You know, real quick before we get into the next topics, I've been surprised with kind of our backstage crew with a new overlay. So we're gonna actually test it out live here. We're gonna do it live, guys. So let's see what this looks like here. Ooh, I like that.
Ooh, jeez. Why didn't you start the show with that?
I didn't have it when we started the show. I literally just got it right before the break.
Jeez.
Yeah, I like that.
Slackers.
Yep. Yeah, that's my new forever my overlay now. That's happening. That's
they
my
need
forever
to,
overlay now.
Your little logo up in the
guys.
top right corner. If they could get
yeah.
so it highlighted a little more. So if they'd work on that, because like they got the military radio on a nice little black background. Looks beautiful, but yeah, well, they just took your logo away.
No, so I just did that, so I can turn that one on and off. And
now, if they could just figure out to get a little background there, so you could see that better. That looks freaking amazing.
Yeah, I'll work. I'll work with that one. Yeah, I'll work with that one. I appreciate that backstage. I appreciate that. I really do. That's really awesome. Thank you. All right. So now, kind of our final segment closing out. We got about 10 more minutes left of the show. Bill, if you could kind of tell us a little bit about some future adventures or endeavors. I kind of alluded a little bit that I am a part of some of this in the future, but yeah, if you could go ahead and break us out into that a little.
So obviously I've had a thought that many other people have had the same thought, but I think it was you. I've bounced the idea off you. I've bounced the idea off a couple other veterans I know that have podcasts. Steve Mills, he does a podcast called Even Though I Walk. He's a Navy chaplain. He was an Air Force firefighter for 10 years and a Navy chaplain for 22. So bounce the ideas off him. I've bounced the ideas off of you, of course. And then another one of my friends, Eric Monarca, another Marine Corps veteran, another podcast host. So I guess where I was going with this was podcast hosts, veteran podcast hosts. And it's like, we're small, our voice. Why don't we promote each other? Why don't we come with the voices as one when we kind of promote each other? And so between the three of us, me, you, and Eric, we kind of co-found, and there was a lot of play on words, and it took a long time to come up with the name, but we call it V.E.T, V-E-T, Voices Empowering Tomorrow. So then that was that. And then it was Veteran Podcast Network. And then I had my IT guy, John, here come, and he goes, ooh. He goes, the IT in me wants to say, what did you say?
Yeah, it's securing the voices for tomorrow, right?
Yep.
So like
And I'm
again,
like, oh,
VPN.
VPN. And I even sell internet, and that one took me a half a second, but I'm like, yep, perfect. So yeah, it was just kind of a thing. I wanted to start a group. I wanted where we support each other. We could, if we ever, heaven forbid, we could pay for a microphone and get a sponsorship someday or go something. I mean, right now, you think about it, we're represented on the East Coast in North Carolina. We're represented in the Midwest here in Minnesota, and our friend Eric represents us out in California. So we're kind of covering the time zones there for you, well, whatever. But so we're just hoping to grow, and people that are kind of like-minded and, like helping promote each other. So that was kind of the thing. And just another network, another group. And if you're a veteran out there, and I've already had one reach out to me, and he's like, I've been thinking about starting a podcast. I'm like, I have the perfect group for you. We all three have different levels of expertise, and I wouldn't say I'm an expert at anything, but I can tell you a lot of mistakes I made and how not to make them. And, like even talking with you and even talking with Eric, just helping each other out. If you're a veteran and you're looking to start a podcast and you want to be on a podcast or you want to start one, we'll help you. We'll help you. We're not to the point where we can financially help you yet. That's the end game of this, is to be able to financially help you, send you equipment, do whatever, the subscriptions, maybe we can share a subscription with you. But right now, technical, support, what to buy, what not to buy, what we've tried, what worked for us, what didn't work for us. And you'll get 3 different opinions on it. But at least those 3 opinions of our opinions right now that worked, and we're hoping to add more people of stuff that worked. And so then you can take that information, like you talk to these 3 people and this worked for them. Well, this worked for 2 of them, that kind of stuff, so that was the whole kind of goal of this, and is to grow and just get as many as we can out there. And so, yep, we're in the very early stages of it. So that's the basis of it. How do you see it, John?
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on with that, man. And like I said, we've talked about it a few times, and like even before we talked, that was kind of something I would wanted to try to do, especially sometime next year. Was being able to do something along those lines too, especially like because we all know, and that's one thing I am very grateful with partnering with Military Broadcast Radio is they provide us the streaming platform to do this. They provide us the destinations to be able to stream to get to a larger and greater audience, and other veteran podcasters that we can network with as well. It's been a great experience. I and my thing is, as a veteran podcaster, because the veteran community is so much smaller than the rest of the podcast community at large. Um, Network as much as you can with other veteran podcasters. Like nobody is out here competing with each other, like at least the networks that I've had the honor of being a part of. There's nobody that's competing against each other. Everybody's here to help each other out, give advice, bring you on their shows, give you guest options as well, share guests between shows. I've been afforded the opportunity. I've been asked to come on and be part of the oh shoot, again, brain fart. I hate when this happens. Like I'm in mid conversation and like I just can't think of words sometimes.
Talk.
No, so so Marie, I had her on. I've had her on my monthly releases, but yeah, like she's been a great resource. She got me into Cav Arts, which is a great just creative space for veterans, not just podcasting, but they do writing, they do music. Like Cav Arts is an amazing resource if you're in the creativity space, period, as a veteran. Cav Arts is the spot to go. Yeah,
So,
I mean, I've
while you're thinking there, like you said, a veteran supporting another veteran, me celebrating your success, John, or any other veteran out there, I'll follow you on Facebook. I'll follow you on Instagram. Reach out to me. Me supporting your success does not diminish mine. And I think that's the biggest message that veterans need to get out there. If you're being successful or you're starting to get successful, you celebrating or following somebody else, their success, that doesn't diminish you. Like I was just with Barry, he's a Navy veteran. He has a Cowboys podcast. I think he has like 35 Cowboys podcasts. This guy is just hammering it hard. He's upbeat. He's entertaining. That's his niche. And I love it. and me liking his stuff or watching his stuff doesn't diminish anything I do. So, and that goes the same for everybody. And I think that's the biggest message that would need to be is, people are like, oh, if I like that, no, it takes nothing from you, so.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I got invited to come on Tip of the Spear, which is a veteran roundtable, and we talk about anything and everything from current events, things that are going on in the veteran space, in the Department of War, the VA, a little bit of everything here and there. And it's a collective of like I want to say there's almost like 18 different podcasters that are a part of this group, and we go live at the last Wednesday of every month, and
Nice.
we just talk and support each other, and I've recently been asked to come on and help out with the Cav Arts podcast as well. And I was actually featured on one of their podcasting 101 sessions, episode 13 or lesson 13 of their podcasting 101 sessions. And again, it's getting out there. And again, like I do this here on MBR. I have my own monthly release that I do specifically that's only the Bunkhouse branded, I'm going to be doing stuff with V.E.T and VPN for you guys. Like I do stuff with Tip of the Spear. I'm going to do stuff with Cav Arts, and that's okay. Get out there and network. That's how you're going to get to know people. That's how you're going to learn. That's just how you're going to get better. And you're going to make other people better as well, just for doing it,
Right. 100%.
But yeah, man, any last comments or topics you want to talk about, Bill?
I don't think so. I appreciate this greatly. I mean, this was awesome. Obviously we're going to work together a lot in the future.
Absolutely.
I did have a thought that just came to me and I completely totally forgot it as you were talking, because that's my life now, is forgetting stuff as soon as I think of it. So, and I wish I had something to blame besides old age.
Right.
Gray hair.
Yeah.
I blame the gray hair. If I had hair, all I have is gray beard hair. So, but no, thank you, John. I appreciate it very much. I'm going to, as soon as we're done with this, I'm going to go to the Legion and work some more down there instantly. So,
sounds good, brother. And I appreciate you joining me, man. Oh, it looks like the backstage crew. We got me a new logo up here in the top right hand corner.
Oh, look at those. They're fancy.
I like that. Yeah. Okay. This is now my new setup for every time I go live. I like this.
Good job, guys. I hope you can.
I appreciate that, guys. Work. All right.
Hopefully I can meet some of them someday.
Oh yeah. So matter of fact, if you once I end the live here in a couple of minutes, if you stay on, we still got some uploading to do once it's finalized, and I'll make an introduction real quick.
Sweet. Appreciate it. So yeah, make sure you promote those military veterans. The last one, he was hard to get information on. That Dustin Garner, all I got was he served in the Army, and all of his songs are from his experiences, as in being in the military. But either way, those are great songs, great stuff, supporting veterans. And there's plenty of things out there where you can support veterans or veteran-owned companies, so yeah, that's all I got.
And again, Bill, man, it's been an honor having you on the show. I appreciate it. And everybody out there listening and watching, I definitely appreciate you guys viewing in, making any comments. I did have one last comment real quick from MJ. She said she hopes to see me some pictures with some pom-poms. I'll see what I could do once the cheer season really kicks off. We'll see what we can do. I know
your daughters have some of those videos. If they don't, your wife does. So I hope they produce for us.
See what we can do. But yeah, for everybody out there listening, thank you again. Again, if you could follow the Linktree link below and like, share, comment, give me some feedback too. Let me know. Make sure I'm doing the right thing. Make sure there's something else out there you guys don't want to hear about. All right. Again, as always, be the light in someone's dark.
Hi, I'm Beaker with Military Broadcast Radio TV. We're your virtual MWR, bringing veterans radio, podcasts, gaming, animation, 3D printing, and a community that never leaves you behind. Download our Roku or mobile app today. Wisdom to share if you listen this week, so pull up a chair and stay for a spell. We're heading down a trail where good stories dwell.